Howdy again, peoples. Okay, consensus was I leave the blue bunny tails as they are. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I do want to incorporate this gorgeous red copper glitter into this. So what I'm going to do is I don't want to put it in resin. It always tends to sink. All glitters pretty much do. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to dump just a little bit in and let it stick on its own to the inside here. That was strange. Huh. Optical illusion or what? So there's going to be chunky and fine glitter in this, in just a few spots. Okay, that's the orb done. Get that stuck around down in there. Now, not all of it, of course, is going to stick to the sidewalls. I do want to try to get some right about here. All right. And it doesn't matter, of course, if the glitter gets on my work surface, because that's where it's kind of meant to go. I do need to put some in this one spot that doesn't want to, well, it does actually have some in it, but I do want a little bit of the finer glitter brought to the surface, and sprinkle that in a little bit here. So what I'm doing is just taking my spoon, dipping it down in, so that the fine glitter sticks to it. Okay, shake out all the loose stuff. Get this one off the side. And of course, put the lid back on so I don't knock it over. Now the other thing I'm doing the contemplating of is these large leaves here. I know that I do want some in there, but I don't want them predominant along the edges. So what I'm going to do, and they are actually facing the wrong way on the curve here, so I found that I can just do that. Now the other thing is that I want colors to kind of match up in here a little bit, because as I said, I want the orb and the pumpkin to both, might have to put something in there to keep that popped open. I'm not quite sure. And they don't, of course, match on both sides. They're not symmetrical, which is kind of how real leaves are. They just aren't symmetrical. Excuse me and my allergies. So what I might have to do is, and when I put them in, of course, they have to go in upside down. So I want to test the theory here. See if I can get them both to stand on their own. Oh, darn. Fell against there. Don't want it to do that. I want them directly in the middle. All right, they are directly in the middle. Now, the one thing I do need to do is get a little bit of resin mixed first to soak this little flower in. So I'm going to pause you and eke out some resin. I did want to bring to your attention that I am using T-Expert Epoxy, the crystal clear. And I have a problem, though, because it seems every resin I get, whether it's the epoxy resin or the poly resin, every single one seems to have a problem with volume control. As you can tell, I have a lot more A than I do B. That's what those black marks are for. So whatever's going to be left over is going to be left over. And I will go ahead and make resin paste out of that. I actually will be also using the, if I can find them again, the pumps for that, because I do want a direct control of what's going to be poured, because I'm only going to pour a very small portion at first, due to I want certain things set before I put the rest of the other things in. Okay, I'm going to put you on pause, and I'll be right back. All right, what I did was, instead of putting A in one cup and B in the other, I decided to put them both in here, because using those pumps, it's a lot easier to get to that specific need you're looking for. So now it just comes to stirring to get it really well done. You want it scraped along the sides as you go so that you get everything incorporated. It takes about 5 minutes to do this. And I don't like taking up your time, so I'm going to stir just a little bit here. Hold that and be right back. All right, everybody, it's now mixed. As you might be able to see in there, there are a lot of micro bubbles. I don't have a bubble removing machine, no bubble vacuum and no compressor, so it's going to be what it's going to be, and I'm going to let it sit as long as I can. And I'm pouring it into the smaller cup at right now at this point because I do need to dip my flour. So I'm going to sort of put it in kind of like that and push it down. Bring it to me a little bit. Because this of course, okay, mouth is stuck. This, of course, is the way to help reduce bubbles when it goes into whatever container you're putting into, whatever mold. And yes, I am pushing it down to try to force the air out from the flour itself. And then we're going to try to flip it without spilling all over the place or destroying the flour. All right, we got that flipped over. Well, look at that. There's already a copper holographic piece of glitter in there. Now let that sit and soak it up for half a moment while I take the rest of the resin and go ahead and fill it in here, just to the bottom. And I will admit, I'm not wearing my respirator at this time or a mask. So don't do as I do. But it's been very warm and sweltering today in my art room. And if I put a respirator or a mask on at this point right now, I won't breathe very well. My lungs react badly to the heat and to the really bad cold. And when I talk about heat, I'm talking about probably something most of the United States would laugh at, because where I'm at in Wyoming, we barely ever break 100 degrees. Most of the time, we'll probably sit around at the highest 95. And of course, at that time, I don't go anywhere. Of course, I don't go anywhere anyway. Okay, let's get these cleaned up a little bit. Just a baby wipe to do that. And of course, this down here is a piece of plexiglass, black acrylic, about 3 millimeters thick. And it's a lot easier to see doing work on these because all of the white that seems to together tend to screw up my eyeballs completely. And I just found out that the light I'm going to be using for this orb here, the bright white, it's a really bright white, and I took the stupid act of turning it on while looking at the LEDs themselves and had to deal with spots, 6 of them to be exact, the amount of LEDs that was there, for about, I don't know, half hour before I could see past it again. All right, that one's cleaned out. I'll just use a napkin here to dry it now. Now I'm going to go ahead and to get that flour dipped into there, hopefully, without knocking the leaves aside. And of course, we're going to have to get it turned upside down. Try to make sure it's completely upside down as it goes in. Wow, hold still. Okay, I gotta get it past the leaves and then get it turned. Of course, one leaf had to fall. I'm gonna say how appropriate. After all, this is a fall project. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I got that one to stand back up. That one's there. Now we're just gonna pour the rest of this down in. I have my husband standing by so that he can grab another baby wipe, please. And since I've already got my tweezers into the resin, I'll just use the tweezers to go ahead and scrape the resin out of this. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and clean my tweezers off. You can leave these folded in half here. It keeps the resin from smooshing through. So get these cleaned up here. I love these reverse tweezers because I don't have the greatest hands on the planet. And the more stress I put them under, it becomes, they shake. So I do things how I need to do them. All right, we got that done. I'm going to clean this real quick. And then I'm going to pause you and let this resin set up, at least get thick, so that when I put more items in, I'm not having to worry about trying to keep those leaves in the proper spot. And we'll also start doing the pumpkin at that time. get all my additives into both molds. Okay, whoops. Seems like that was a little juicy wet wipe. Haha. Decided to splatter. I love it. Okay. Trying to make sure I don't have any on the bottom of that little pot there. Okay. All right, pausing you, and I'll see you later. All right. This is set enough to begin the next stage, which will also be this stage as well with the pumpkin and this little lid. What I need to do first, though, is cut these bunny tails because they're definitely a little bit long for the purpose. And I also have to trim these down because these also are a little bit long to fit in the pumpkin. So I'm going to go ahead and trim them right about here. I've already tested on the one on top here to see how far it would need to go. So now I'll retest to make sure that they will fit in here the way I want them to fit. That's perfect. They're right down below the rim. All right, so before I put those in, I'm going to do the glitter. And I'm also going to add those really pretty maple leaf glitters. So I'm going to put some in here. And then, of course, I'm going to shake it around a little bit. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let me pull the green back up. Where it's supposed to go. Once I get the other flowers, it'll stay. All right, we got those in now. And before I forget, some of these go in here first. And they definitely stick to the silicone really well. And that should be enough of those. And so that I get a really good mix, I'm going to go ahead and close this before I really goof up. Oops, can't forget the lid. And of course I almost did. Let's get the other glitter in. I'm going to go ahead and add that with the spoon so I can get the small stuff and the chunky stuff together. Okay, now get this closed up before I dump it. Now we're just going to take and roll the pumpkin around. And of course I will be reusing whatever is not used up inside here. And I want to shake it a little bit because I want some on the inside where the, okay, let me get a piece of paper here. So I can put the glitter back into a different container since it's mixed. And of course I'll put it right on the side over here. But first I'm going to kind of crease the paper a little. And I know you can't see very well into there, but there's a good mix in there. I'm just hoping that by dusting the insides with the glitter that I won't lose a whole ton of it to one spot like the bottom. And then that's what's left in the lid here. I do have another container. As a matter of fact, I just found some of my containers I've been looking for a long time because I had to go on an extreme search for my 90% alcohol, and I did not find it. But I found containers. Okay, that's as good as it's going to get. All right, now for replacement of the bunny ears. And I'm not sure how much of the fizzle I want to put in, but I do want at least a small amount of thistle in each one. Now, since this one is a larger thistle, we're going to go with this one for the orb, and this one for the orb, and I think we'll take this portion too. And then we'll cut these apart from each other and put those in the pumpkin. Oh, yep, gotta first put the leaves in. Huh, almost forgot. Get it set down in there just perfectly. And get the next one. Now, I don't plan on crowding this. But I want as many autumn colors in as possible, for sure. Get that in there and set. That also. Okay, they want to be a pain in the rear. The story of a resin crafter's life. Pain in the rear. Okay, I want to set that down so it doesn't move around a whole lot, because the more it moves, the more it shifts. Okay, got it in. Now we want to get some thistle into here, where it can be seen. Use this to get it moved down a little bit further. Well, isn't that interesting? I just noticed I have two of these together. Maybe that's why it doesn't want to settle too well. All right. Okay, hopefully that just did it. Okay, larger thistle. Smaller thistle. Okay, let's grab another thistle here. I'll have to get that other bunny ear in. Now, I had thought about using some UV resin to try to set these a little bit, but I'm just going to pour a small amount of resin in like I did with this one and let it get set somewhat. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and pour layer upon layer. Let's put this in with that other thistle on the side. All right, now that's in. Let's get a couple of these. Lay it down to the top there. That one there. Boy, I definitely am a tired person, I'll grant that. And then I want to put some of these to be seen. And yes, right now I am concentrating on the pumpkin, because this one's probably going to frustrate me to no end. Whoops. Don't know where that piece just went to. Okay, we're going to set this with this bunny ear side. Boy, it just wants to grab every little thing. Okay, grab my thistle, get it down in here. Grab my other thistle, do the same. All right, and now I need to put some things aside, huh? Let's go ahead and add a little bit of this. think we're going to stuff a little bit of that in there because you'll be able to see it from the side. Okay, all those items are in there. And you know what I forgot? Something for the lid. I was going to put these in, but I decided against this going into the pumpkin or the orb. They'll be saved for another time. Now, of course, the lid is going to be poured all at once. And the lid will take the longest to get done. Oh, this broken container. Okay. All right, so for the lid, I think I'm going to go ahead and place a little of this flour. And possibly a little of this. Yeah, I think so. So let's get these in. And of course, nothing is that symmetrical in life, so we'll put that there. We'll put this little piece right over here. You know, of course, the resin's going to pull that all in. That's why I think I'll just drizzle a little bit and let it set before I go any further. All right. Now just comes the mixing of the resin, which of course you all know I won't put you through all of that. I will go ahead and get it. Oops, I almost forgot something with the pumpkin that I was going to do. You see, I decided I was going to give my little resin dish a little bit of light. Now this is a warm light one. Straighten it as much as I can. And then I'm going to curl it so that it will go around the inside of the pumpkin really well. Is there anybody else like me that when you get frustrated with something that, well, curse words want to ensue? I'm just trying not to take so long. I'm already at 41 minutes, so I'm going to let you go real quick and I will get this undone. Okay, I did a little bit of cleanup as well so that I wasn't spreading glitter everywhere, and filled my spritz bottle with the alcohol that I had in this one here. So now I've got this to spritz the tops with. Okay, so all I need to do now is get about probably 50 mil, maybe 100 mil. I'm not too sure how I want to proceed with that. Yeah, really, I'm not sure because I don't want to fill these very full right now. I want to be able to set the flowers first so that they don't move around, and so the glitter has a chance to still stick to the sides. So what I'm going to do, I guess, is maybe I'll mix 30 mil so I can just drizzle it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, just 30 mil. Be back in a minute. I decided to go with 40 mil instead so I could get a good coverage to set those flowers. Now, more than likely, I will end up with bubbles. I'm just hoping that they're not going to be on the sides or at the rim. Almost finished with mixing. Now, I will say that the pumps for these bottles, they do introduce a lot more bubbles. But if you've got a vacuum chamber or a compression chamber, you can deal with that really well. For myself, well, I just have to deal with the bubbles. I do plan one day to get probably that Resiner's bubble vacuum machine, so maybe we'll see, because I don't know, I have a qualm about spending $150 on anything. But I'm like that with my clothing and my shoes as well. I mean, I refuse to spend a ton of money on shoes because, number one, I don't go places that much. So I have a pair of sandals that I have been wearing. They're the neoprene type ones, and I've had those probably 5 years now. And those are what I wear most of the time, even when I go outside in the snow. I figure it's a lot easier to dry those off than my socks. Um, then I do have 2 pair of sneakers, one which actually stretches with my feet, and the other is a pair of Skechers that they don't stretch with my feet, so I rarely get to wear them at all. And, well, if you saw my Temu video with that bunch of neoprene slippers type things, you will know that uh, those are the types of shoes I always buy. And those are just too big, so I've got an actual craft project I'm going to do with one of those pairs. The other 2 pair I will probably go ahead and just give away. When I bought them, they said size 9 to 10, or 9.5 to 10, and oh, they're a lot larger than that. All right, I think this is pretty much ready to pour, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to not pour over one of those wooden sticks to remove the bubbles as much as possible. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and pour over my stir stick. It's silicone. Now remember, I'm only doing this to set these flowers. All right. I prefer doing it this way than using UV resin because UV resin yellows much faster than epoxy resin. Okay, I have to pour this as slow as possible. And I'm going to go ahead and do it right down the side and let it do its own spreading so that it'll be easier to manage later on. Okay, I'll let that get down there a little bit. Oops. I'll definitely have to clean that up. I'll have to pull the sleeve aside a little bit. I'll have to turn this around a second. Get some down this side. And I know this is going to be a little bit longer video than I was hoping. So I hope you all can bear with me. If you want, there is the choice to go to the settings for this video. Go to playback speed and go to times 2 if you want. I know I do that a lot when I'm tired. And sometimes, I have to watch my own videos over and over while I edit. So, yeah. I know I don't watch my own videos on my channel because I've already watched them in real life, up close and personal. All right, I think we are really close to being done for now. And if you want to get kind of a idea of what the lights are going to look like now that I've got them in the pumpkin, I will go ahead and turn the light off for a moment while the overhead here. And let's pour a little bit more into this one. And go, oops. Now I'm trying to scrape this with my left hand. I'm a right-handed person, so yeah, there's probably going to be a goop somewhere. Okay, these guys are ready to set and cure for the moment. I'll probably be up before they're completely cured so that I could go ahead and pour the next set. And so I'll see you right about then. But first, let's go ahead and test out that light system. I'll grab it. This is the warm light, so I'm not going to try to blind anybody. Oops, gotta get that back down in there. Okay, light off. I think that'll turn out really well. I'm actually surprised. All right, get my light back on real fast. Get this put away for a moment, and be back soon. All right, these are cured up enough for the next level, so I'll be right back with the resin. Okay, I made 160 milliliters, so just under 8 ounces. Well, a lot under, so around 6 ounces. Anyways, 160 milliliters, 80A, 80B, and so we're just pouring this next layer here. I'll do the lid first so that we can see if I can get it to get all the little cracks and crevices. I'm going to pour only that amount because I do want to make sure I get all the bubbles out from underneath. I'll let that find its way through. Whoops. In you go. And yes, pouring this slowly is so that the resin finds its way into every place it can possibly find it. I will try to help it along, only a little. Like as with the lid there, I do see some bubbles at the edge. And what I'm seeing right now is my resin is about half of the pumpkin. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this into here. And doing it in levels also ensures that I won't get a flash cure by putting too much in at once. And yes, this is not a deep pour. It is the crystal clear from Tea Expert. So it is a 1-to-1. All right, real quick, back it up a little bit, scrape what I can out of it. And I do love using these silicone spatulas and these plastic measuring cups because it makes cleanup so much easier. Grab a baby wipe. Just letting those bubbles settle down a little bit. So I always try to clean my tools ahead of having to clean a real mess. All I'm doing right now is watching to make sure that those bubbles begin releasing, because I really don't like using alcohol in molds because of the damage it can do to your mold. And yes, I am trying to be quiet this morning because my husband's still asleep, my animals are still asleep, and it's the only time I get some peace and quiet. Add a little bit more at the bottom there. And a good thing is, wipe out your resin out of your containers with a dry napkin or paper towel first, so that you have a tendency to get most of the resin already before having to use baby wipes and everything. That way you get a much cleaner cleanup. And once you use the baby wipes, then you use a little bit of alcohol to assure that all the resin has been removed. And then I like to store all my mixing pots, whatever they may be, upside down. And with a baggie over it, or inside the baggie upside down. One of the two. And if the mixing pot is too large for a baggie, well, I usually have a quart size and then I have gallon sizes. So I usually don't have a problem with being able to store. Okay. Time for the alcohol. All right, got that soaked down with it really well. And since my bottle of rubbing alcohol, the 91%, has walked away. I have no clue where it went to. I have looked and looked and looked, and I stopped looking because, well, you can only look in one place 20 times before you realize you've already looked there enough. Okay. Utensils are clean. And we store it upside down because I still have an awful lot of room left in these molds. All right, now we're going to take care of this here lid. Now, as you saw, I do have these reverse tweezers. They are bent, and I very lightly go inside and coax any bubbles up. All right, those bubbles are coaxed up. And there weren't that many of them, so that's a good thing. Lay that there so I can clean my tweezers. Put that there. And then I've decided that for the lid, I would really, 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 really like to have a little bit more interest in it. So I would like it to actually match with the jar it's going to sit on top of. And I've decided to cut these a little bit. So this is the one that I had extra accidentally and cut extra up. And yes, these are cloth leaves. And yes, there's a possibility I can get some insane bubbles under them. So I'm going to dip it just a little. We're going to put it over here just under the lip. Same thing with this one. Dip. And again. All right, now, that's the last thing to do for now. There will probably be 2 more pours because I have not yet even gotten halfway on the orb. But I have reached halfway on the pumpkin. So the orb will take definitely another 2 times. And I'm going to take a look at how much depth there still is on that pumpkin. I may be able to do that all in one pour. Definitely the lid. So let me get my tape measure down. Oh yeah, definitely going to take 2 more pours for both of them. All right, everyone. I'll be back. I've made 1 extra pour that I didn't have on camera. I'm ready to pour the last. I made up another 200 mil, so hopefully that's going to take it all. We'll give it a shot real fast here. I do have a standby in case I made a little too much. Now what I want to do first is go ahead and dome this little lid here. So I don't want to add too much because I got real close. But I do want to add enough so that I'm not having to clean the edges with a burring tool. Get down here where I can see level. Okay, a little bit more at the edges. The underneath is not cured fully, but it is set enough to be able to do this. To finish this off. Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh, that's nicely domed. All right, now the pumpkin doesn't have much further to go here. And of course I have to let everything go and settle where it needs to settle. So I'm pouring it just to the edge and letting it siphon down in. And I'm hoping that this is the last of the pour. Okay, I'm going to stop it there for 1 second. I have to move the green leaf out of the way a little bit. cut close to spilling over. I might even have. But doing these many layers, it keeps me from having to worry too much about a flash cure. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it to the rim. Okay. And because I don't want to over pour this, I'm doing this as slow as I can. Unfortunately, my table itself has a bow in it. It goes concave, so nothing is level on the table itself. However, I do have a way to level it. I do have a leveling table as well, but unfortunately, I need to calibrate it again. By the way, since I'm using the pump, I took 2 fingers off of a glove so that I could put them over the spouts to keep from having that drip when it's unattended. And it has done quite well doing that. And yes, each one is marked A and B, so there's no goofing. So A is on A and B is on B. Too bad I can't color code on that. All right, I see some chances of too many bubbles there, so I'm going to go ahead and see what I can do about taking care of that problem. I might be wrong. It might be the, yeah, that's what it looks like. It's the inside divoting area. And so far, this tea expert has done very, very, very well on the prevention of bubbles. So far, I have not seen a single one with as many pores and as many cures as I've done. Get these utensils cleared off. Now, because I do have a lot left over, which I was not anticipating that much, because each time I did this, I did 80A, 80B, and so that was 160 mil. And I figured, well, since this one still had a lot to go and this one still had quite a bit to go, I figured I'd make 200 mil. And yeah, it looks like I went a little bit overboard, but that's all right. I always have a mold ready to go. First, let's see if we can finally fill up my overflow. And I'm going to go ahead and add some green glitter to that. Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to add it through the shaker spot. So let's do the spoon section here. You can always tell glitter is very staticky because it'll head towards anything that's made out of plastic. Okay, we'll give this a little bit of a stir. And it's been so long that I've been pouring into this little container that I've actually forgotten what colors and such has gone in here. I also was thinking about putting this really pretty blue in there. So I think we'll give this blue nail glitter a go at. I'm sure when that thing finally cures all the way and is full, it's going to look really bad. Don't want to put too much of that one in. And because of the pour that I've been doing, today I'm going to go ahead and add some of the autumn color. I see bubbles coming up, so I'll grab my long neck. And we'll get some bubbles popped on there. But so far, it's been releasing bubbles really well. And I think what I'll do is, instead of just pouring, well, no, I'm going to end up having to pour. So I'll pour first, but I want to try to guide some of this in there. Wow, I didn't think it was that low still. Let's get some of these off of here. Holy cow. It just keeps sucking that stuff down. Okay, well, there's still more room in that. All right, I'm going to put this away, and I'll be back when it's all cured. Okay, everything has cured. I had to go ahead and put it on my heat mat for a little while. And so I have soapy water because I don't ever use alcohol to demold. It presents too much of a problem. It helps wear down your silicone molds. So I have to do one, though, without the water. And I may end up having to have my husband give me a hand because my arthritis is a little active tonight. Okay, it's a lot active tonight, but we will see what happens. And the only reason why he's going to probably have to help me is because I can't dip this into the water. The only thing I could do, really, the best thing, now this is still a little warm, but it is fully cured. I could take a little bit of water, not much, try to figure out what to do with that. Yeah, that's not soapy enough, sweetheart. But we'll attempt it, I guess. Okay, get some down in there, get it worked around a little bit. All right, get a paper towel or something here real fast. And here goes the struggle. There it goes, stretching. Okay, now just to get it out from the inside here. Alrighty. And yes, I will be washing these molds right after. By the way, I learned something about those little nail glitters I was using. When I went to clean everything up, it had a small problem, as in the nail glitters didn't get, I don't know, they didn't stick. And they should have because of having the resin on them. So it was really kind of strange for me. All right, let's see. There's a little bit that needs to be trimmed. I'll do that very quickly here. And I'm just going to use the scissors for it. One of the leaves decided it was going to abandon the mold, I guess. And it looks like we're pretty good right there. And I'm going to go ahead and find my remote. And this is what this is going to look like. It turned out pretty good. And I'm not noticing any bubbles on the outside or down here, so it did really well that way. There are some bubbles on the inside a little bit, but they're not affecting it. And I'll go ahead and turn the light back on. So we'll turn that off, and this is what it looks like now. So that's a really good fall night light right there. And for me, it'll make it a lot easier when I find stuff to put in it to, well, to find it. Okay, we're going to stick this in here. Let's get the lid done. This domed very well, which actually was surprising to me, because usually when I try doming lids, I always get that rough edge that'll cut the crap right out of you. All right, let's try this. A little bit more dunk. Try to get down off that ridge. And my concern, of course, is the edges for bubbles. Now that one's got a sharp edge right there a little bit, but that's not a bubble. That's one of the glitters stuck through. Oh, for Pete's sake. There we go. Now we're getting it. Haha. Stick that over here. Wipe that off a little bit. And you can see the little white flowers down in there. Now that glitter did not fall, or it did not float. This is extra glitter I had added in before the last layer. And no bubbles got trapped in the stem. It's an actual perfect mold. And it turned out the exact way I wanted it to, but for some reason, it's not wanting to. So, there it goes. Oh, it's got little doodads on it, on the lid to keep it from falling off. I am impressed with that mold. So let's see what it looks like with the lid on. Oh, that turned out really good. For once, I'm really truly happy with the resin piece. And I have decided that I will be using the Tea Expert resin from now on. Okay, light back on. Now comes, oh, I don't know, do we want to leave this one to the last? Because it's got a special effect to it. So I'm going to go ahead and just, now the diamond is not full, but it's been sitting in there forever. And I kind of want to see what it's going to turn out looking like. Yeah, it needed to be a little bit hotter than that, dear, so I could stretch these molds better. Weird. Now, I don't expect the mold to be shiny. I really don't. It's a matte mold, and I can see it already. Oh, for goodness sake. The struggle is real. A little bit of resin on the bottom there. Now, because this is matte, I will probably be adding a little bit of resin to the outside to shine it up. But you can see the shells from my mother-in-law's pour with her tray mold. And this was left over from some, I believe, the keychains I was making. But I won't quote myself on it. All right. It does need to be trimmed off up here on the edges quite a bit. But all that will be done. Or I can even backfill it a little bit with some more resin to fill it all the way in. There is a bubble right here. And one more right here. And because it's still a little warm, it's still a little soft. But that one is at least cured. And heavy. All right, now comes the fun one. The truly fun one. We're going to start pulling the edge. Get that soapy water down in there. Okay, try to massage it down in. Oh my goodness. Talk about struggle. Let's just hope I don't dump this whole bowl of water on myself. Okay. I can hear it peeling away. Let's get some more water down in there. Okay, dry it off just a smidge so I can actually get purchase on it. Whoops. Leave it to me to drop it. You've got to be very careful because the edge is sharp. Get my thumb down over that thing. Ouch. Oh my goodness. Maybe I need to turn it upside down. Don't want to spill that. Get 2 thumbs in. Ouch, ouch, ouch. And cut myself. Wow, definite struggle. I may need to get something to take the sharp edge off of that, because as soon as I get purchase, that edge tries cutting in. So I'm going to turn this upside down. Okay, I'm sure those of you that have done orbs before understand what I'm doing right now, which is thinking I should get a pair of scissors and cut this mold. All right, here's where the husband ask thing gets in here. Sweetheart, would you try this, please? Don't cut your fingers. You need them for work. He's cheating. He's got it against his belly. I could have done that. Probably still couldn't have gotten it out, though. All right, here we go. Oh, come on now. There we go. Whoa, whoa. Mold on the loose. Oh, wow. I'll get my deburring tool and trim that later. But right now, I just want to inspect this little orb. Okay, if I can get my husband to grab this bowl and that cup and go wash both, please. All right, so what we have here is my fall orb. Now this is an actual blemish because it is part of the glitter that I threw in there, right there, and the glitter is actually poking through there. But I can see the bunny tails, and I can see the white flowers, and that beautiful red one right there, and I can also see the thistle. Wow, that turned out beautiful. And of course, it's very clear down in. All right, so I have a bright white right now stand for it, and I also will try it with the other one, which is not the bright white, it's the warm light. Okay, so light off, other light on. Oh, that's cool. I know you probably won't be able to see into it because of how bright it is. So when we get to the warm light, wow, that is so awesome. Okay, let me get to the warm light real quick. And so I don't forget which is which. I mean, you can tell this has got kind of a lighter yellow on the white, and this has got more of an orange. However, I was also smart enough to put white. Okay, get this plugged in, get this set on, and on it goes. Oh, it looks a lot better with the warm light. There's those bunny tails. I don't know how much you're able to see until I view the video myself. There are a few bubbles in here. It's creating some cool special effects. So that's going to be really cool on the ceiling at night. I can see the white flowers in there. And there's glitter down in this one here. It's actually underneath the flowers. Or on top, but underneath. But the special effect I was talking about is this stem right here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me put this down. Turn on the other light. This stem that's right here, it looks like it's actually, in real life, looking at it, poking out, but it's not. It's underneath all of that. Okay, well, that's my fall. On to Halloween. So the next videos you see of resin will be Halloween. Thanks everybody for coming by and checking things out. Appreciate everybody that's viewed this and all my subscribers. You guys are great. And those of you that haven't subscribed, if you think about it, please do. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't cost anything. And it helps us creators get our product out, show people what we do. Of course, if you're going to subscribe, hit the reminder bell so you can get, not a reminder, the notification bell. I'll get that really straight one day so that you get notified of future videos. And comment, please. It does help us grow. We do learn a lot from those comments. Of course, some people can leave nasty ones. They, trolls, part of life. If you put yourself out in public, you're going to be subject to it. And, of course, share. All right. Peace out, all.